on a walk, a new neighborhood, new trail to discover and enjoy, and it actually literally is a new trail. So anyway, I'm Erin. Welcome to a lifestyle and reading vlog. I just started listening to an MC Beaton Agatha Raisin story book on Libby, and I think I had read through 3, and this is number 5, I think it is. I don't remember the name of it, but you know, it's episodic like most cozy mysteries are, and so there's like the through line story, and then each book has its own mystery. So I haven't got to the mystery part, and there's a really significant through line plot point that I missed in the last one, but it was summarized. So she has gone to Cyprus actually, so I assume that's where the murder is going to take place, and yeah, enjoying it as I always do. MC Beaton. So I recently realized that it seems that cozy fantasy, kind of that new cozy fantasy genre, just doesn't look for me, or just doesn't work for me, but cozy mystery still does, and I particularly like the Agatha Raisin series. So speaking of audiobooks, I just yesterday finished Holly by Stephen King, and it's the 3rd book, and I'm not sure what the actual series name is, but the first book is Mr. Mercedes, and it follows a private investigator. He's a retired police officer, and I think that one was a serial killer. I didn't read the 2nd book, but again, that through line plot, a bit of it is summarized, so I know enough of what happened in the previous one, and I think I had a good enough time reading 3 without having read 2, as it follows a new detective. Well, I don't know how she's not new, but it follows her instead of Bill Hodges, named Holly. So as much as I enjoyed the story, there's definitely a social, political element to the story that might rub some the wrong way, and I felt it was a bit heavy-handed. So this takes place during the COVID pandemic, and you can tell that King is very pro-vaccination. Also, the Black Lives Matter movement is happening, and that in particular didn't seem to fit in the story. Every now and then it would just be mentioned, but really had nothing to do with the storyline, where at least COVID and the vaccine actually had something to do with the story. So that part just felt a little bit distracting because it was so heavy-handed, but I enjoyed the story quite a bit. You know, not like an epic Stephen King, but maybe like a 3.5. I quite enjoyed it. It was a great audiobook. Particularly I had skunk. Had a road trip over the weekend that I took, just like an hour and 15-minute drive there and back, but it was a nice companion on that drive. So what are we doing? It's Monday, start of the week. Had kind of a late start. I've had just this ongoing kind of like migraine-ish headache since like Thursday, just kind of coming and going. And yesterday on my drive back home from Nevada City, it got so bad, and I basically slept on and off all day yesterday, and then I slept like 11 and a half hours this last night. So I feel like kind of a late start to the day. I think it's like 10:30 right now, something like that, and then I will go and kind of get on with the rest of my day. So a lot more unpacking, assembling things, just house stuff, and then I'll be out for a couple hours this afternoon. I have kind of an important meeting. I have a meeting with my counselor at what's the school? Western Seminary this afternoon, and then I'm going to do an acupuncture session to help with the migraine situation. So my arm is getting really tired now, so I'm going to go back to Agatha Raisin. Just came out of the library, and I was looking for 2 of my book club books. So Dorothy L. Sayers' Gaudy Night and Evie Wood's The Lost Bookshop, 2 different book clubs. And the Dorothy L. Sayers is one that book club is on the 2nd, which I think is just Friday, and it's Tuesday, or it might even be Thursday, whatever. I think it's the 2nd. So yeah, need to get a move on that one. They didn't have either one, of course, but they are both on Hoopla, and I forgot that I had actually gotten both from Hoopla. The Dorothy L. Sayers one I had gotten borrowed like way back when the last time we had book club, and it had been returned like weeks ago. So I just re-borrowed that, which means that the MC Beaton, the Agatha Raisin story I'm listening to right now, I'm going to put that on hold and, save that for another time and start the Dorothy L. Sayers, because that's the book club that's first. But while I was in there, I picked up Knife, which is Salman Rushdie's Meditations After an Attempted Murder. So when he got attacked, these are his thoughts about that. I've never read Salman Rushdie before, and this is short, and it seems like, I don't know, I am intimidated by him, so that seems like a good place to start. So anyhow, I am gonna go kind of doing like a loop of errands. So this was kind of what isn't even planned. I was like, I'm just gonna be driving by here. So anyway, so I'm gonna go to storage, grab some more stuff. Most of the day I've been spent working on the kitchen, cleaning the cabinets, because there was like drywall dust and everything, and just debris, because they didn't get new cabinets, but I got new countertops. So just the cabinets were a mess, or the shelves within the cabinets were a mess. So got that all cleaned up, got a bunch of stuff unpacked, and it's, moving to a new house. I lived in my other house for 12 years, and everything had its place, right? Definitely had too much stuff. I got rid of a lot of stuff, but now it's like trying to figure out where things are going to go. But I don't have everything, so like I can't find my cutting boards, for example. So I'm hoping that I can go find those in my storage unit. I just cut up some tomatoes. I have an amazing garden, and cut up some tomatoes with some like buffalo marinated little mozzarella balls with some basil from my garden. Like, that was super good, but I had to cut the tomatoes on a paper plate because I don't have any cutting boards. So anyhow, how I'm going to go do that, it's only 95 degrees, which is a lot cooler than it has been a lot of the times that I've been over at my storage unit. So anyway, I'm going to start Gaudy Night right now, and hopefully it goes well. I had tried to read Whose Body several years ago by her, and I just couldn't get into it, and I ended up DNFing it. But maybe, audiobook will be a good route for this. It's 15 hours, so I need to be reading it. So I'll be listening to it while I'm doing other things. So here's what's left in storage. Most of it is my parents'. I have a few boxes that's like living room, like blankets, like winter stuff, coats and sweatshirts and stuff like that. That's more, scarves, throw pillows, stuff that I don't need right away. Definitely getting rid of this coffee table. There's no place for it, and the wheels are starting, or the legs are starting to break, and then we're not sure whether my mom might use this. It's like a storage trunk. She may or may not use that. Otherwise, the rest of this stuff is my parents'. Oh wait, that bottom plastic container there, that's mine. That's got Sam's old uniform parts. You can see the sole of the boots right there. And then I've got this load here. Most of this is going to be stuff for my office. Could not find, there's nothing else from the kitchen here, so sadly no cutting boards, which means they're outside somewhere in the backyard. Ugh. There was a point where the library was looking good. There's potential. But now it is just full O boxes. Part of it is that I couldn't find the pins, the extra pins to this bookshelf, and so I wasn't able to unpack a bunch of stuff, and I finally just found them. Huzzah. Good Wednesday morning. It's about 10 o'clock. Pretty productive morning. I got up, I came out into the living room to do my kind of morning reading, Bible, prayer, AA stuff. And I saw out the window my grandparents' car. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're already here. So my grandpa, he's 88, and he has to help. My grandparents are both they show their love through service. And yesterday my grandma called, said, Grandpa wants to take that pile of cardboard that you have over to this cardboard recycling place. So I was expecting like a call and then them to tell us, what time that was going to be, but they just showed up and started. He was like halfway done by the time I even went out there. So I go out like in my pajamas, like boxer shorts and a t-shirt with no bra on. And so I'm helping them do that, and then kind of showed them the house, which is a disaster, of course, but they hadn't seen it. I don't know if they'd seen it at all. If they did, it was way, way early on before anything was done. So then I did they left. I did my prayer, Bible time, and some AA stuff. And what I was doing for my AA stuff is on step 4, it's a personal and moral inventory, which includes a fear inventory. So you're basically writing like a resentment. It's the cause of that resentment, how it affects you. I feel like there's one more thing. And then the fear inventory is the fear, what is it? I just did it. I had already done the personal and moral inventory. So here's like I do it like in a series of columns. So the fear, how does it affect me? How has self-reliance failed me? And how has that worked out? Like relying on that self-reliance. So like, for example, my fear of not being good enough. How does that affect me? I make up stories about how people feel about me. It affects my pride, my self-esteem, my personal relationships, my ambitions. I catastrophize and basically make everything about me, which just kind of like perpetuates that feeling of not being good enough because of the strain that ends up putting on relationships, and I end up like apologizing all the time. So so that's what I was doing. And then turned on the Olympics, and while I was watching it's the men's gymnastics, I was just kind of like decorating the edges of my AA book, so now it looks cute. So now I think I'm actually going to turn off the Olympics and then read for like a half an hour. I'm going to set a timer and do a half an hour before I start getting back to the manual labor of things. So today I need to do like clean out the pantry. There's just a bunch of like, that's where all, like extra tools, there's screws, there's, like a hammer and a mallet and all sorts of stuff like that in the pantry, and then start putting actual, food in the pantry. That would be nice. But in the meantime, and I also really need to start get back to tackling the library. It's just full of boxes and it's stressing me out, and I want to, make some good progress on that. Yesterday when I put those shelves in, I did unpack most of middle grade, and then I had to leave, so I didn't finish middle grade, and then I have like the picture books as well. But for right now, I don't think I've told you about this. This is a book I picked up on our Airbnb trip up to Nevada City over the weekend. This is The Whiz Mob and the Grenadine Kid by Colin Meloy. This is Colin Meloy from the Decemberists. And I gotta prop my arm up on my leg. So this is a story about this, there's like kind of this rich kid living in France. I think he's actually English, living in France, and he sees this like pickpocket kid. Like he sees like a series of kids, like he's like kind of watching this happen, and it really fascinates him. And he ends up getting pickpocketed himself. And instead of like going to the police or whatever, he basically tells the kid like, all right, instead of, turning you in, can you teach me how to do that? So he is kind of like in training for this. And it turns out that there's actually like a school of, what do they call it? The mysterious school of 7 bells. And he's definitely struggling with kind of the morals of what's going on. Like, you just, stole this thing from this person, or, you could have ruined this person's life or whatever. And he's having a hard time accepting that. So he's kind of being corrupted morally, and yeah, we'll see where it goes, but enjoying this. It's just like a fun, and I just love his covers. His covers are so good. And I believe the illustrator Carson Ellis is actually his wife. That's what the bookstore owner told me, at least. So yeah, I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes and read this. I feel like procrastinating, so I'm talking to you. Hey guys, it's Thursday, 12:22, and I've had a good morning. I ended up subbing for my old networking group, BNI, so that was fun to get to see everybody. Also, I was hilarious and got some really good laughs, so like, good way into my heart is to tell me I'm funny, laugh hysterically at my jokes, or tell me how smart I am, so like, win. Anyway, and it's just great to see everybody and be back with those people, because I've known those people for like 5 years. So yeah, they're most of them at least. So anyway, and I went over to the post office to pick up a package that wasn't actually there, and my grandparents called, and what I was planning on BNI, post office, gym, and then I have to go take my mom to an appointment later. And my grandparents called when I was leaving the post office, and they were going to come over and pick up some boxes. I have lots of boxes, and so I was like, okay, I need to go home, like procrastinate to the gym, but also I need to go home and grab those boxes because they were probably going to come right away. So they came, picked it up, and then I was like, oh man, I'm only going to have like 20 minutes to be able to work out. But hey, let's do it. Let's just blast out 20 minutes. And then my mom realized that her appointment isn't until 2, not at 1. So I actually have plenty of time for the gym, but it's going to be a short workout anyway. This is going to be my first time working out in probably like 6 to 8 weeks, and only the second time in many months. So I'm just gonna I've got like 5 exercises, 3 sets of 10. If you didn't know, I am a former personal trainer and health coach, like very recently. And so whenever you get back into it, first of all, it can feel like hard and intimidating, and you can be really disappointed and disillusioned because you're not as strong as you once were. You're like, oh man, I used to be able to do this, and now I can only do this. So you feel really bad about yourself, which makes you not want to go the next time, but you'll get it back. Just like you got it the first time, it'll come back faster. Muscle memory is a real thing, but also don't do too much too soon, because that's how you either get injured or get so sore that you're not going to be able to work out or move for a week. So I'm really going to plan on going easy today, and doing fewer exercises than I normally would, just kind of covering the basics. So I'm going to stop talking about it and actually go do it. It's almost 11 o'clock on Thursday night, which is way past my bedtime, but I just finished watching Suni Lee and Simone the Goat Biles absolutely crush it in the women's all-around. So now I am going to start James by Percival Everett. This is a buddy read with Kim at middle of the book march, and I say start it. I've read the first, it says page 20, but I don't feel like I've read 20 pages. Yeah, because like the first page starts on page 9. Okay, so I haven't read that much. Okay, so one thing, so I'm enjoying it so far. Like the dialect, and what's cool is he's it's from Jim's perspective, and Huck and Tom Sawyer kind of keep like hanging around him, and he'll change his dialect based on whether the white folks are around. He goes into a deeper black person dialect when they're around, and like he even changes. He's like in the middle of a story and he hears the boys and he switches mid story, and then he's kind of like messing with the boys a little bit. And it reminds me, if like you have like a little kid who maybe like hides when you come over, or hides at any point. Like my niece and my older two used to do this too, but the younger niece, now the 5-year-old, like if her mom or dad comes to pick them up, she immediately hides. And then you kind of play this game of like, oh wow, where'd Charlie go? I thought you guys had Charlie. Where'd she go? And that whole thing. It's like Jim is playing that game with the boys. But the very beginning, let's see if you can see this font. So there's this section, the Notebook of Daniel Decatur Emmett, and it's these poems. And there's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, or they're songs. And the font that it's written in, I like can't make it out. It's written in dialect and in this crazy font, and I have a hard enough time kind of like deciphering poetry, and then to put it in an indecipherable font just makes it like, okay. So I tried to read in earnest the first one, and then honestly I gave up after that. It's probably something really meaningful there that I'm completely missing out on because of the font. So I gave the Dorothy L. Sayers book, Gaudy, like a good chance. I was listening to it on audiobook, and I just, for the life of me, could not pay attention. I had to keep like restarting it to the beginning, and I have no idea what that freaking book is about. So book club is tonight, and I'm just gonna go and hang out. So yeah, I can't remember what our next book is because I wasn't there, but at the beginning of the year they chose all the books that we're gonna read for the year. We actually have like a cool little booklet, like printout and everything, that one of the girls made. It was really cool. And I think a bookmark, I don't know where that went. I saw the booklet recently. I just don't know where it actually is because I don't know where anything is right now. So anyway, I'm just out on a kind of a mid-morning walk. It's almost 80 degrees. It's gonna be 100 today. So, you know, 80 degrees feels really good when you're used to 100 plus. So anyhow, I'm gonna do that. I'm going on a hike tomorrow in the Marin Headlands, which is this like mountainous area, Mount Tamalpais, on the north side of the Golden Gate Bridge, and beautiful views. It's so cool because there's like throughout it there's all sorts of different terrains. My favorite part, one of my favorite parts, is this area. You feel like you're in a rainforest. You're just completely under this canopy. There's ferns and it's just so green. And then the ground though, there's so many pine needles on the trail itself. It feels like squishy, like not bad squishy, like cushioned. So great. And then there are areas that are like totally exposed, and there's mesquite and sagebrush. And there's one spot you climb up this hill called Cardiac, which is, you know, as the name suggests, a really difficult hill. You come up, to your left you can see the ocean. You turn around and you can see the city. It's amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow. So today I just want to do a casual walk. So I'm just going to do 2 miles, you know, 35-40 minutes or so. So yeah, so all that to say, I'm going back to listening to the Agatha Raisin book, Mystery. Of course, she's on vacation in Greece, kind of the Turkish part of Greece, and of course someone was murdered and they're trying to figure out the murder, and she is suspected because she is, you know, she followed this guy, her ex-fiance, out there, and she's been kind of carousing with this other man, and they kind of think she's a hussy and she's interfering in this investigation and all that. So she's kind of suspected, not like with law enforcement necessarily, but everybody kind of the rumor mill is going. So I'm gonna do this walk and listen to that. Oh yeah, last night I didn't read James. I got stuck on my phone, and I probably got stuck on my phone for over an hour. I didn't go to bed till midnight, which is super late for me, or after midnight, because it was over an hour. Anyhow, I have been reading this morning though, and I think I read like 50 to 60 pages this morning. It is so good. And what's really cool to see, because we're getting it from Jim's perspective, is how smart he is. He would sneak into the master's library and read his books. Well, he taught himself to read, and he taught other slaves to read. And so he's making references to Voltaire and I can't remember like specifically who else. Raynor. What's this cool formation of like old planes over there? I'd show you, but you're not gonna be able to see it. Anyhow, and then the code switching that's going on. So, and he's literally holding language classes for the kids that is teaching them that whenever around white folks, we need to talk like slaves, right? So they talk in a way that makes the white people feel superior. So they'll be in the middle of talking kind of like regularly to each other, and then they hear some white folks around or see some white folks, and they switch the way that they're talking. So, and we all code switch. I don't know if this is where that originated, but we all code switch. So the way I'm talking to you, or the way that I talk to my friends, is much more casual. And, you know, I drop my G's like crazy. But if I'm speaking in a more professional setting, if I'm public speaking, something like that, you speak very differently, or you speak very differently to someone in authority to you than you would to your friends or your kids or whatever. Good Sunday morning. I think it's around 9:45, something like that. I just got out of the shower, and boy, am I wiped and very sore. So I was supposed to go on a hike in the Marin Headlands yesterday with my friend Kate, but I realized my plantar fasciitis has just been barking too much, and the last thing I need for that is to be going up hills. Like, your foot being toes above heel is like the worst thing for plantar fasciitis. Putting it in a stretch and putting pressure through it. So I was like super bummed to have to cancel on that. Then another friend like, hey, you want to do yoga tomorrow morning? So we did that. Beautiful, beautiful setting, is outdoors, and just like this little courtyard surrounded by trees. There's a magnolia tree right there in the middle, sound bowls. So that was really great. And we went to coffee. I had breakfast afterwards. Then I went home, grabbed all my bike gear, got my bike ready, threw it in the car, and went to meet my friend Benji. And he just had this thing where he wanted to ride to the airport. Like, for some reason, that felt like something that like he needed to do. So like, all right, cool. So it was about a 30-mile ride. And I haven't done anything but like a very casual short ride since the end of 2019. I broke my little toe at the end of 2019. And I couldn't put on like a sock hardly, let alone a tight cycling shoe. So I hadn't ridden in like 4.5 years, and certainly nothing like 30 miles. So I just felt like super humbled and like, you know, bad that we had to keep stopping. I had to take breaks and stuff like that, especially on the way back. But we just had a great conversation, and we got to like the airport property, and then we're like, no, we gotta like go like all the way, go in. So we took which I don't think they see a lot of cyclists at the airport, but maybe cops. But so we actually went through the arrivals, you know, drop off area, went inside and cooled off in the air conditioning. And we ended up talking for like 2.5, 3 hours. We didn't exactly clock it, but all of a sudden we're like, it's like it was 6:47 when I looked at my watch, like, holy crap. And we probably got there at like 3. Yeah, like, I don't know how time flew like that, but I mean, we're talking about really deep stuff. He's an AA as well, and I've actually known him for a really long time because he used to work at Sam's rehab home. He was like the front desk admin guy, and then his mom was a CNA, and kind of like, she was like the house mom. Love his mom. And so we were just catching up, talking AA stuff, talking life stuff, all of that. Just had an amazing time the whole trip. And he was super like cool and understanding. Like, I'm just in this for the adventure, the fun, the friendship, like not trying to be fast, like don't worry. And then we actually went to a meeting afterwards, a 10 o'clock meeting, which is like so late for me. And it was a 90-minute meeting. And then I went to drop him off. And his mom was still up, and she had gotten me a banh mi sandwich at this Vietnamese place that they go to. And so I sat and visited and ate my sandwich, and it was so great to see her because, I mean, she was such a big part of my life for a really long time and took care of Sam like so amazingly. Like, I'm like tearing up thinking about it. So anyway, so I'm super sore now because, if you know, like, muscularly, it was very difficult, particularly my quads. But the biggest thing is, if you haven't been on a bike saddle for years and for hours on end, wow. Like, it's not just your muscles and your cardiovascular system that needs conditioning. Your undercarriage needs conditioning as well. So my sit bones in particular are like bruised. So there will be no hard chairs in my future. Hey, buddy. So, oh my gosh, my dog. Hi, honey. There he is. Oops, that's my leg. There he is, along with just the crazy mess behind us. Anyway, I am reading James. I'll be reading James until, I gotta put makeup on, but until it's time to go. Read, I don't know, 20 pages already this morning, and maybe I'll do a little bit of housework today, but I'm just really gonna try to rest. I mean, also we were in the sun. It was at the highest point, it was 103 degrees. So we were riding through the blazing sun. Once again, haven't had this for a really long time. I have a straight line tan across my mid-thigh. And anyway, I'm going to try to read a lot. I want to read like 100 pages in James today. So that's the plan. Oh, and I'm just loving it. Like, I'm underlining a ton. I'll draw like a heart sometimes. It's Huck and James' affection for each other is so amazing. But one thing I found interesting that I just kind of commented on,
commented in the book. Like, I feel like annotation is like I'm having a conversation with the book. And then particularly because it's a buddy read, it's nice to have those notes to be able to refer to as well. So Jim has taught himself to read secretly going into the master's library. And he's reading like Voltaire and like major philosophy and everything, which, you know, wow, that's no like spot. I can remember those early readers' books. But he still is as close as Huck and him are. And, you know, Huck is like, you know, I want you to be free and no man should be, you know, I want all the slaves to be free and all that. He still won't allow Huck to know that he reads. And then the code switching that was going on, he still won't like speak regular. He speaks in like slave speak still to Huck. So I'm wondering, like, is it because as much as he loves him, he just still doesn't actually trust him because he's white and, you know, he's going to grow up to be a white man? I don't know. So I'm hoping, you know, maybe that gets addressed in the future. But yeah, I'm loving it. It just particularly just the relationship between them and them as characters. I just love them. And this is a 5-star read. I can't imagine this going downhill. I just feel like my affection is just growing and growing and growing. So I'm going to shut up and read. It's Monday morning and it is time for a haircut. Also, my dog just keeps whining. I don't know what he wants. We have a dog door. He can go out. He's been fed. I don't know. He's whining, so excuse his noise. Oh my gosh. Also, I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. As you can see, I need one. So just that's that. Okay, so freaking loving James. It is so good. I can't imagine another book being better than this that I will read this year, and I think this is going to go down of one of my favorite books of all time. I'm about halfway through with it right now, and I have it all tabbed and so many underlines and just so many thoughts about it. And I just kind of listened to and went through the book, listening to Kim's thoughts on the first. I don't know. She probably covered maybe the first quarter of it, not knowing where I was at in the book. And one thing I've noticed so this is only my second buddy read. I almost said butter. Buddy read. And the first one was, I can't remember who else, but Melinda from A Web of Stories was there, was part of that. Is that because I know I'm going to be discussing this with someone. Come here, buddy. I'm reading this so much more deeply and I'm finding so much more depth and value in it. And one thing I want to point out, so at one point, Jim gets a pencil and he's able to write his thoughts, and he learned to read kind of sneaking into his master's library, and the books that he's reading are what he has available in there. And so he's reading Voltaire and other philosophers and everything. So he's very intelligent, very a great vocabulary, but he has no one to share that with, nobody to have, you know, discourse with. And so I think that him having this pencil and being able to write things down allows him to kind of have that outlet. So one thing he says is, how much, oh my gosh, my dog, how much do I want to be free? And I couldn't lose sight of my goal of freeing my family. What would freedom be without them? So this, you know, he has a sense of purpose. And it reminded me of Viktor Frankl's logotherapy. So Viktor Frankl was I think he calls himself a psychoanalyst, something like that. But he wrote Man's Search for Meaning, and he talks, logotherapy is, there's three components of it. So freedom of will to meaning, and meaning to life. So having a sense of purpose gives individual a reason to keep going, even in difficult circumstances. So I'm really wondering, was this intentional by Percival Everett? So yeah, I'm just blown away by this book, and I'm going to go ahead and end the vlog there. But have you read James? Would you call it one of your favorite books, you know, of the year that you read it? Because I think it came out last year. Or is it among your top books of all time as well? Because I am just in awe of this book. Thank you for watching. Remember, every day is a great day for a great day, no matter what.